Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to take a look at the FAQ for Mega Symphonia. Because you know what? I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If you're going to play the game, you need to know the rules. It is out over in Japan now, and that means they have an official FAQ of a whole bunch of rulings, and we need to know the rulings. So let's start off with a card which I am convinced is going to cause problems. It is, of course, Vitality Forest. That card that lets grass Pokemon evolve whenever they want, except on that player's first turn. But after that, you're good. So it's not my first turn. I play a Bulbasaur, evolve it into Ivysaur. Can I then evolve it into Venusaur? Yeah, of course you can. Go nuts. Keep evolving. You'll have some fun. Well, can I play Bulbasaur and then immediately rare candy it into a Mega Venusaur? No. Because that's not how rare candy works. You can evolve your grass Pokemon straight away, as long as it's not your first turn of the game. But crucially here, Rare Candy says pretty clearly you can't use this card during your first turn or on a base of Pokemon that was put into play this turn. The card says you can't play it, so you can't play it. You can evolve up, you just can't play Rare Candy, which means that's not going to work. Sorry about that. Okay. Well, we've got this new item card, Spooky Watch, which allows you to devolve one of your Psychic Pokemon. Well, can I use this to devolve a Psychic-type Tinkaton EX, which evolved from a Steel-type pre-evolution? Yeah, of course you can. It only says that you need to devolve a Psychic Pokemon. What it evolved from, kind of irrelevant. Speaking of Psychic Pokemon, there is that new Stadium Mystery Garden. Once during each player's turn, they may discard an energy from their hand. And if they do, draw until they've got as many cards in hand as they've got Psychic Pokemon in play. Can I discard a special energy to activate this? Yep, just says energy. If I've got 6 Psychic Pokemon on the field, 7 cards in my hand, can I just discard an energy and then not draw anything? No. You can only use Mystery Garden if you're going to be drawing cards. Very important, of course, because sometimes you do want to get cards in the discard. If I don't have any Psychic Pokemon, can I just use this to discard a card from my hand? Nope. Again, you have to be able to use it in order to do the discarding. If I've got no cards in my deck, no! You're not going to be drawing, you can't use it. If I've got 4 Psychic Pokemon on my field and only 2 cards in my hand, can I discard 1 energy card from my hand and choose not to draw? Nope. You gotta draw until you have 4 cards in your hand. Be careful, this can deck you out. Going back to Vitality Forest then, if I've got a Lunatone on the field with the ability Deep Rush, or someone's got a Lunatone, remember that's the one that turns off effects of stadiums, can I evolve a grass Pokemon that I just put into play? No! Lunatone is turning it off, which means you can't do it. Gutted. Can I use this to evolve into Scovillain EX, which is Fire type, but it has an ability that also makes it a Grass type? No. Remember the ruling on this, the wording on this is you have to evolve a Grass Pokemon into a Grass Pokemon. Although this has ability that says it's also treated as a grass Pokemon, it's not in your hand, only on the field. No, it doesn't work. Well, how about combining this and Spooky Watch? We have both grass and Psychic type Rabsca. So can I devolve my Psychic type Rabsca using Spooky Watch into a grass type Relor and then use this stadium to evolve into a grass type Rabsca? Yeah, of course you can. Again, you're devolving a Psychic Pokemon with Spooky Watch, that works. You're then evolving a Grass Pokemon into a Grass Pokemon using the Stadium. There is nothing here which would stop you doing either of those two things. Ergo, you totally can. Now here's a fun one. Remember Vitality Forest lets you evolve your Grass Pokemon as long as it's not your first turn of the game? Well, what about poor old Scatterbug that says you can evolve on the first turn of the game. Does that still work? Yeah. Essentially, this overrules the stadium here in the same way that Rare Candy does. This overrules the stadium as well, and you can evolve it even though it is the first turn, and it kind of says you can't. You actually can. Now, Wally makes a triumphant return here with Wally's Compassion, and this is a nice little interesting card, whereby you can heal all damage from one of your Mega Pokemon EX, and if you do, you put all energy attached to that Pokemon back into your hand. Alright. Well, what if there's a Milotic on the field that says your opponent's Pokemon on the field and all cards attached to them cannot be returned to their hand? What if your opponent's got Milotic and I play a Wally? What happens to it? You just heal. You can still use Wally's Compassion. There's nothing to stop you using a card. There's nothing to stop you healing. But you don't return the energy to hand because Milotic says you can't. Which is a ridiculous ruling, but totally works, and I love this. What if there's a Mega Evolution with no energy attached, but there is damage? Can I use this to heal off completely and then just, not have to worry? Yes. And honestly, this is what we're going to try and do as much as we can here. Either have no energy on there or little energy on there so that you can use this without as much of a downside. Well, we've got the new Ace Roller, that's the other supporter coming along in the set. And Ace Roller's prank says you can only use it if your opponent has 2 or fewer prize cards remaining, but you get to choose one of your Pokemon and then they're immune to damage and effects from your opponent's Pokemon EX during your opponent's next turn. Okay. Well, what happens if I use Demon's Mask to swap the Pokemon that had the protection from Ace Roller's prank? What happens then? Yeah, you're fine. You keep the protection. Remember, the whole point of Ogre's Mask is that it basically keeps everything. The card literally says any attached cards, damage counter, special conditions, turns in play, and any other effects remain on the new Pokemon, so the Ace Roller protection will remain. Well, what if I've got protection from Ace Roller, and my opponent attacks with Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon, which goes through effects of attacks? Will that go through the effect of Ace Roller here? Obviously it will. The whole point of this attack is that it goes through stuff. This is stuff. It goes through stuff. Well, what if I've used Ace Roller to give protection to Mega Gardevoir, but then I devolve that Mega Gardevoir with the Suspicious Watch? Do I lose the protection? Yes, you do, because the protection was on Gardevoir, and you've devolved and you've lost it. What if I use Ace Roller's prank, choose my active Pokemon, and then I switch my active with a bench Pokemon during the same turn? Do I lose the protection? No. The Pokemon gets the protection. It will still have the protection on the bench. So if you switch to the bench, your opponent will not be able to go ahead and attack you or do anything else to you using attacks. You will still get the protection if you switch to the bench. Going back to Spooky Watch or Suspicious Clock as it's literally translated, either will do. We'll find a real one eventually. What if I use this to devolve a Sylveon EX into an Eevee that has the ability that lets me evolve it immediately? Well, then you can evolve it again. And honestly, this kind of seems like one of the best uses of this card. Devolve a Sylveon into an Eevee and then go, oh wait, I've got boosted evolution. As long as it's active, do remember it needs to be active, I can just evolve it into a different Evolution, and now we're good to go. Honestly, sounds like a good use of this card. What if using this to devolve a Pokemon would then knock it out because it's got too many damage counters on? And you knock it out. And honestly, sometimes you want to do this to activate certain cards, be behind on prizes, etc. So, yeah, you absolutely can devolve to knock out. Now, Mega Signal is the new item card that just lets you search for a Mega Evolution. Can I grab it if it's a Mega EX from back in the X and Y series? Nope. It only actually applies to the new style of Mega EX. Sorry about that. Different thing. Now, Mega Kangaskhan's got a redonkulous ability, whereby if it's active, you get to draw 2 cards, but you can only use one of the ability per turn, regardless how many you've got. Can I use it if I've only got 1 card in deck? Yes. Draw 1 card. Move on with your life. Now, there's a Mega Latias in the set, but there's also a Latios with an ability whereby when your Mega Latias goes from the bench to the active, you can use this ability to move any number of energy from your bench Pokemon to your new active Mega Latias. Well, what if my opponent's got a Flutter main that turns off the abilities of active Pokemon and you switch out the Latios for the Latias? Can you do that? Yep. Essentially, it moves out the active and then activates the ability, so everything will be very nice indeed. What if I use an attack like, I don't know, Electrike, that does 10 damage to itself, but that 10 damage KOs it. And then that damage lets me put a Mega Latias onto my field. Can I then use Luster Assist from Latios? Yes. Yes, you can. Because it's still during your turn when you put the new active Pokemon up. Your turn hasn't actually finished yet, so it totally works. And then finishing off with this Pokemon, what if I just retreat 1 Mega Latias EX to another Mega Latias EX? Can I still use this ability? Yeah, you're good. Go ahead. Have fun. And actually, one more. Let's say you've got Ninjask, and you use this attack to flick to the bench and put Latias active. Then can you use Luster? Yeah, you get this by now, right? It's working. You're fine. Now, moving to Ninja's partner, Shedinja. Shedinja has an ability whereby, if it's knocked out by damage from an opponent's Pokemon EX, they do not take a prize. Alright. What about Iron Hands? Because Iron Hands would take an extra prize. So can you not take the normal prize, but then go and take the extra prize because you take an extra prize now, don't you? Nope. No dice, ladies and gentlemen. Essentially, Shedinja stops your opponent taking any prizes. So even if it's something like Iron Hands that should take extra, all the prizes are stopped and there's not much you can do. What about Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon that essentially the damage isn't affected by weakness resistance effects on the Pokemon, etc.? Yeah, that's fine. Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon stops the damage being stopped. The damage will go through whatever. It doesn't affect the prizes you take. Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon is all about not getting blocked. So you go through everything, but you then don't take a prize because that attack doesn't do anything to the ability that stops you taking a prize. Ha, got it. Now, Mega Gardevoir has an attack that does 50 damage for each psychic energy attached to all of your Pokemon. What if I've got a Prism energy attached to a basic on my bench? Yeah, that's fine. When it's attached to a basic Pokemon, it counts as a psychic. It will do the extra 50. It's a Mega EX, but is it also an EX? Yes. Yes, it is. Now, Mega Manectric is a card I'm getting more and more love for as time goes by. And what we've got here is an attack that does 130 extra if you discard all of the energy, or 200 base. So what if this is copied by Mime Jr.? Can you just do 200 and not discard the extra and not do the extra 130? Yeah, you can. You just do 200 damage. You're good. Now, Inteleon's got an interesting attack. Single energy, choose a Pokemon with the least HP remaining from among Pokemon in each player's field, other than this one, and knock it out. What if the Pokemon you want to go after has Mist Energy? Well, then you have to choose someone else. Mist Energy makes a Pokemon immune to the effects of attacks. This is an effect of an attack because it's an instant KO, not damage. So you would have to go after somebody else. And that might mean a Pokemon with more HP remaining. But that's fine, because Mist Energy is stopping it. When I use Inteleon's move Finish Off, can I choose a Pokemon with the least remaining HP from my opponent's side? Nope. Not if you got one on yours. Now, if there's Pokemon tied, you get to choose which one of the tied Pokemon. But if the only Pokemon with the lowest HP is on your side of the field, you go Dan. Never mind. And it does actually specifically say in the FAQ, if there are Pokemon tied, you get to make the choice as the player using the attack. Cool. And then finishing off, we have a new Shuckle coming in the set. It's got an ability whereby if it's got a grass energy attached, then once during your turn, you can heal 30 from one of your Pokemon. Okay. Can I use it if I've got Prism energy attached? Yeah, of course you can. It doesn't say basic grass energy. The rule is really simple. Where it says basic grass, like on Mega Venusaur, it has to be a basic grass. Where it says grass energy, stuff like Prism will count because it is a grass energy when attached. So there we go. That's the rulings for Mega Symphonia. Everything you need to know. And now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about these rulings. Tell me if any are confusing. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. And get shout-outs on the channel, like the lovely Piravamel, who's been a supporter of ours for a little while now and seems to be a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.